In this video, we will go through a 3D demonstration of how to assemble a Fortress Pergola kit. Note that this demo uses a 10 feet by 14 feet kit. However, these same instructions will work for other Pergola kits. The only changes will be the lengths of the outer framing joists and the length of the rafter joists. All designated components will, however, have the same letter labeling. Before getting started, here is a list of tools and equipment you'll want to have on hand for this process. Also, know that parts of this installation process will require 2 or more people to assemble the pergola, as some parts require being raised into the air before they can be mounted. First, unpack and separate out all of the components according to their designated component labeling. As a best practice, keep the rafter joists separate from the short and long framing joists during this process. This can help prevent someone from accidentally grabbing or using the wrong joist. To get started with the assembly, if there is anything inside or around the installation area, move it out of the way. You will need the install area to be at least 4 inches or 100 millimeters larger than the assembled pergola. When planning the layout, a standard stake and string method or popping the line with a chalk box can be used to mark the slab. You should additionally go ahead and take the post to pier brackets and set them into position, ensuring the brackets and corners are perfectly in square. It's best to go ahead and mark these areas as needed before beginning the installation process. Remember when creating the layout to be more than 4 inches or 100 millimeters away from the outer edge of the slab or foundation. Once the layout is confirmed, proceed to mark the center of each of the post to pier bracket locations. Then move the brackets off to the side for now. Next, pre-drill the marked locations with a hammer drill and concrete bit rated for the bolt size being used. Then slide the bracket back into position, centering it over the hole. Next, use the concrete bolt and washer to secure the bracket onto the foundation. Let's pause here to mention that Fortress Building Products recommends using a 3-inch by 3/8-inch anchor bolt at a minimum. It's always best, however, to check with your local building officials on the type and size bolt that they recommend to use for this process. After the bolt has been fastened most of the way down, insert the standoff into the bracket. This item allows drainage for the post. Repeat the post to pier bracket installation process for the remaining 3 brackets, tightening each bolt most of the way down. Once complete, it's time to ensure that all brackets are in square with the area layout one more time. After which you should fully tighten the bolts, locking the brackets down to the foundation. Next, set out 2 sets of the posts, spacing them out a little wider than what the short side of the pergola will be. When setting the posts down, note the top of the post is the end with the label. Be sure to have the 2 sides with the pre-drilled holes facing up and outward. Install 2 units of component C, the F50 brackets, here at the top of the post. Align the brackets with the pre-drilled holes in the post and secure them with component K, Evolution self-tapping screws. Next, take 1 unit of component J, the post cap, and insert it into the top of the post. Then secure it in place using the pre-drilled hole and a single self-tapping screw. Afterwards, pick the post up and set it over the edge. The post and bracket assembly will need to be rotated to face downward as shown. This will allow for easier attachment of the frame joist in a moment. Repeat this same process of adding the 2 units of component C and 1 unit of component J on the second post. Afterwards, rotate the assembly to face downwards as shown. Next, take 1 unit of component E, short framing joist, and slide it in between each of the post assemblies. The label side will face up, and the pre-drilled holes on the ends of the joist should be aligned with the holes on the F50 brackets. Once aligned, secure the joist to the assemblies with self-tapping screws. If needed, you can also use clamps to help hold the joist in position during this process. Repeat the entire process for the other 2 posts and add the second short framing joist to each end of the post to complete the second outer framing assembly. Before raising these 2 assemblies, it is best to prep the long framing joists for installation. To do this, take both units of component F, the long framing joist, and place them so that their labels are facing down. This means that the sides with many holes will face upwards. Although this is not a requirement, in this example, the sides with the drain holes are facing each other on these 2 joists. This is so that the joists are already allocated for each side of the assembly. Next, take the 14 units of component D F50 bracket for long framing joists and place 7 of them on each joist in the orientation shown. The brackets should all be aligned with the pre-drilled holes on the joist if this is done correctly. Secure all of the F50 brackets to the joists using the provided self-tapping screws. Once this process has been completed, move on to raise and mount the first outer framing assembly. Be aware this process will require 2 to 3 people at a minimum to safely raise and secure the posts in their brackets. Rotate the assembly so that the F50 brackets that are sticking out will be facing inwards on the finished pergola. Then insert the posts directly into the post-to-pier brackets, allowing them to rest on the standoffs. Secure the first post in place by aligning the pre-drilled holes on the bracket and post, filling them with self-tapping screws. Then immediately move on to secure the second post in the same manner. Don't let go of the assembly during this process. 1 to 2 people should continue to hold the assembly in place until it has been secured. This means that while this section is still being held in place, that all posts must be temporarily braced until fully stabilized and permanently connected with framing or other structural members. For pergolas, this means that the outer framing joists would have to both be attached and joined to the end joist and post assemblies before the bracing can be removed. For more information, please see the instruction manual for the specific pergola installation kit that is being installed. Repeat the same raising and mounting process for the second outer framing assembly. Be sure that the overhanging F50 brackets are facing inward before securing the assembly in place. Here again, do not forget that all posts must be temporarily braced until fully stabilized and permanently connected with framing or other structural members. Up next, take the right side long framing joist and raise it into place. The F50 brackets will face the inside of the assembly and the drain holes on the joist will face downward. With the joist in the proper orientation, install it in place by aligning the pre-drilled holes on the joist and F50 bracket. Then secure each end with self-tapping screws. Repeat the process for the left side long framing joist. It's a good idea during the installation of the long framing joist to check for level and square at the post. Afterwards, take a unit of component G, rafter joist, and place it into position between the F50 brackets on the pergola assembly with the drain holes facing down. The joist's pre-drilled holes are on opposite sides and ends to align with the holes of the F50 brackets. For ease of installation, utilize clamps to help hold the joist into position until securing it with self-tapping screws. Once secured on each end, the clamps can be released. Repeat this process for each of the remaining rafter joists in the assembly until all of them are installed. For the last part of the installation, take component I, lateral bracing support, and insert a unit of component H, lateral bracing bracket, into each end. Do not secure the brackets inside the supports with screws at this time. Instead, take the loose assembly to the pergola. The lateral bracing will be used to brace the framing joists in the orientation shown. Secure the brackets to both the post and bottom of the joist first, aligning the pre-drilled holes. There will still be some play in the support since the bracket can still slide up or down. Take this opportunity to ensure the post and corner are level and square. Once the pergola is square, secure the brackets in place on the sides of the support. If the lateral bracing is out of square, the pre-drilled holes in the side of the post may be unusable. New holes can be drilled if this happens using a 1/16 inch or 2 mm drill bit. After the first lateral bracing assembly is installed, use the same process to install the bracing in the adjacent corner. Then follow up by installing the remaining lateral bracing assemblies on each of the remaining 3 posts. And with that, congratulations are in order as you just finished the Pergola Kit installation process. Following installation, be sure to sweep, vacuum, or clean off any metal shavings left behind as a result of installing this kit. Steel shavings can stain concrete slabs and can stain or damage pools. Be sure to remove any shavings or steel dust left behind during the installation. And lastly, if any of the pergola was scratched or scuffed during installation, know that you can use Evolution touch-up paint to cover up any blemishes. For more information about where to buy an Evolution Pergola Kit, visit our website at fortressbp.com/pergolas/kits. Thanks for watching.